Hello everyone. You remember about a week ago I showed you the Guniki Musa Crossbone Gundam X1 and X2 that I've got, and I was saying that if I got a chance I might actually build them, but considering that I have a very big backlog, it will take a while. Well, guess what? I have built them. And you will see that it's a bit dark here, and it's a really dark kit. The Crossbone X2 is a really dark color, so I might have to, use this light every now and then to actually help show you some of the detail. But before I'm doing that, I'm just showing you in this form first. I'm going to go back to the beginning and actually showed you unarmed form. But I'm just showing you the cloak, because the cloak is a bit difficult to actually put on, so I thought that I might as well show you when I actually have the whole thing together. The cloak comes in 4 pieces to actually put it together, and it's made of soft rubber, so that it does flex around. Unfortunately, because it flex around and it's actually composed of multiple pieces, they don't stay on that well. Because they're soft rubber, I'm considering actually sticking them together with super glue. But yeah, they basically compose of 1 piece on the back, 2 pieces on the side, and a sash on the front. The sash is fine. The sash is actually plugged into the front 2 piece, and it stays in really well. But yeah, this 2 piece supposed to slot into the back piece, which got a peg. But yeah, they don't actually stay in that well. But it looks good. Yeah, let's get on from the unarmed form first. And here is the unarmed form. Now the unarmed form, naturally you can see it a little bit better if I put it up this way. Yeah. Now the unarmed form looks pretty good. The difference between the armed form and unarmed form really is just the helmet, the backpack, and the shoulder armor. The front body armor can't be taken off. They are actually part of his body. But it's pretty good. You can see that it's all molded in practically dark blue everywhere. There are some pieces that are pre-painted in metallic color, the gold, the silver. Yeah, that's basically it. The hands are rubber, like the cloak, so it's molded in a slightly lighter blue, but it's still a dark blue. Let's see, color-wise, it's actually slightly. There's a lot of color missing on here, obviously, but it does cover with all of the stickers. If you are willing to cut around all of the stickers, you just stick them on, because it is one big piece, as I mentioned before. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to paint it. Whoops, that's my scissors stabbing into my leg. So a little bit of gimmick. As you can see, the eyes, he's actually got an eye patch and 1 eye on the other side. I'm wondering if the light is going to help. Okay, the lights does sort of help. You can see that he got a relatively normal eye here and a eye patch here. Now it comes with alternative eye. With this one, which got a slightly more angry eyes, you can see that his iris is actually higher up, so you see less of it. So it's more like him. Yeah, it's basically him doing that. Yeah, and still got eye patch on the other side. And the alternative one is not really for the X2, it's for X1. But this one has 2 standard eyes on either on both sides. But yeah, got a chance to actually give you a little bit of view of the detail. So a lot of molded detail on. That's pretty good. And yep, pretty nice. Unlike some of the more recent SD Gundam, it doesn't really have any of the giant gaps showing. they are willing to actually put 2 pieces on everything so that they sandwich together and close all of the gaps. So articulation, the head does go up and down and does rotate because it's on a ball joint. The shoulder has a little bit of forward up and down movement because it's a ball joint packing into a polycap. So it's here on the shoulder, which is plugged in there, but there's not a lot of room to actually move anyway, because the shoulder armor does come down to here. So it has a little bit of in and out, and that's it. There's an elbow. The elbow is actually a polycap packed in that way into the swivel joint, but itself is plugged onto the upper arm on a ball joint. So his hand can go up by, 70 degrees, something like that, but it can rotate by itself without the upper arm moving as well. But then again, why do you want to do that? The hand is packed into a ball joint, so it has a slight wiggle, not a lot, but it can rotate 360. The upper body is pegged to the lower body on a peg to a polycap, so it can rotate, well, only about this much. Not a lot, maybe you might think, but then again, he has front skirt that are actually ball joint into the center, so they move around. The side skirt is actually pegged into a polycap, so it actually rotates by itself a bit, and it does go up a little bit as well. The leg is pegged into a polycap, so it can move a little bit, not a lot, because there's not a lot of room down there. And yeah, this actually doesn't actually give you much extra. You can see there's only that much, really. And the feet is pegged into the leg on the ball joint as well, so it does swivel around, rotate around to give you some articulation. So that is the base body articulation. Now in this mode, he also has 2 closed fists to swap with the holding fist. So that's one on each side. And he also, in this form, he can't use any of his standard weapon because they're all on the body armor. But these 2 daggers have somewhere to go, so he can hold it, he can use them, and at the bottom of the feet, just going to keep this light on for a while. At the bottom of the feet is actually a tiny little peg, so you can actually peg the daggers in if you have some patience. Yep. So the dagger stalls in there, and if you want to reenact his hidden kick blade, you can actually point it down, so he can kick someone with a leg blade. Yeah, that's pretty cool. But I don't really like having those pegged in there. It's quite difficult to actually put them in. It's also quite difficult to actually get them out. So yeah, maybe not. It's a nice idea, but it's nice that they give it to you, but well, not that useful. So that is basically it for the bare body. So let's get on to the armament. And here we are. Here is the armed version of Musa Crossbone X2. Let's see. No, I'm going to keep this light on. Now, one thing that I wasn't really sure until I think I figured it out is that these two extra shoulder armor, you've just seen it that they actually plug onto another existing shoulder armor. So this is actually external extra shield. And I was wondering why, when I was building it, why this two is not actually packed in up there. This two is only packed in down there. So they swivel up and down and just dangling about. It took me a while, and then I suddenly realized, I think those are intended. Those are supposed to be some sort of claw. And that is because this is the Crossbone X3 optional part, and it does exactly the same thing. And on the instruction, it literally mentioned that this is a grappling claw. So this is effectively the Crossbone X2 version of a grappling claw for the shoulder. Of course, it's a bit odd, it's a bit weird. Don't know why they actually would want to do that, but yeah, it's nice to have them. By the way, yeah, articulation doesn't actually change much in this form. The shoulder armor, although it's there, they actually do swivel away, so it doesn't actually hinder the articulation that much. And the shoulder armor don't actually go in too much into the body, so it's a bit hampered, but not a lot. The helmet is a bit big, but he can still move his head reasonably well. One thing that is a bit bothering me is that this holding arm is a bit loose in terms of holding this. The long lance is unique to the X2. The X1 doesn't have that. The X1 has the blunderbuss beam rifle style gun with the straight long blade, which attach together to form another form of spear. But this one is the X2 specific, and it has a side handle here, and X2 can actually hold it like that, and it's a lot more secure. This armor designed for that sort of pegs, not for a round pole like that. But yeah, it's pretty good. You have seen it before, right at the beginning, where the 4 dagger were plugged onto the shoulder. That is actually a official form for him when he's actually in this mode. He put all 4 daggers there so he can use it as a shoulder ramp. Now you can see that there are 2 swords dangling on his backpack. From here, you can probably see that they're actually slightly different. This is the first one, the Demon Blade. Oh, that's actually a name for it. Yeah, there is actually 3 Demon Blades shared between X1 and X2. While they're called Demon Blade, they look really plain, which is a bit, yeah, not as good as I would hope. Let's see. Oh, the Demon Blade is called Mad Bone for some reason. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, that's one of the sword he has. He can hold it in either hand. And the other one is not a Demon Blade. It's called the Silver Wolf. And it supposedly is the sword given by the Night Gundam. The Night Gundam is the ancestor. And apparently, in the storyline, he come to the future and meet X1 and X2 and actually left them this sword. And X2 use it. So that sheath in here, and it's designed so that it's just hidden onto the backpack, so that from afar it look more or less the same sword. But yeah, that means that X1 can have the other 2 Demon Blade. The other 2 Demon Blade are called, you probably wouldn't care, but the other 2 Demon Blade, one is called the Shark Bone, and the other one is Martial Bone. Yeah, they're all called Bone, and they're all called Demon Blade. Yeah, they're all weird. Yeah. Oh well. Now, X1 has a lot more weapon than what you can see on X2 here right now. So why do you want X2? Well, the X2 set has something unique of its own as well, and that is the X2 demon form. He has an evil form, which, in the storyline happened once or twice or something like that. And to do that, unfortunately, you have to disassemble him, because you will have to swap the backpack, the Force Spire, with the Horslayer blades, and they have to plug into the backpack, and the backpack has to be taken apart. You know what? I will do it off screen. Okay, there we go. So those are changed. So he looks a bit more evil already. The last thing to do is to take the head crest. You keep this one, and you take a white skull. Oh, that's a bit bright. Oops. Yep, it's a white skull that actually comes in 2 pieces. So the skull is going to bite onto his head crest, with the other piece come in to a really demonic look, and you plug it back on. Yep, there we go. Now he really look evil now. Well, I have to say, X2 always look evil anyway, so that's not a big change. Now in this form, he does have 2 extra weapons, and that is the Horslayer blade on his back. There are 2 versions with the handle, so he can actually hold those as well. Looks pretty good. And that's not it. For both X1 and X2, they also come with extra parts to create the X3, which is supposedly is the future form of X2 once he managed to remove his curse form in certain time in the future. But so it's composed of him plus all of these parts, and that will be an extra blade. That is the X3 exclusive blade. His shoulder armor has changed into this one, you have just seen. His forearm guard has changed from a more square one to a rounder one. Front skirt has changed. The front chest has changed into slightly more like a skull. His head crest has changed into number 3. And his back skirt is changed to match the front skirt. Yeah, I'm not going to show it to you because that takes too much work, and I like X2 more than X3. So that is basically it for me on this one. Now, there are some big problems about this kit. The details are fine. The details on him are perfectly fine and looks pretty good. Articulation is not that good. There's a lot of polycap, but they're not. The armor is a bit hampering him. Now, there are also a bit of flash and seam line problem. Flash are a bit bad on all of the blades. But it's no biggie. Flash, you can just cut them off. You can just trim them off, file them off, and they look perfectly fine. Especially when you're actually going to paint the kit. But the bigger problem is that all of the polycap and ball joints are really small and they're really tight. So it's a bit of a heart attack moment every time we're trying to plug these kits together. I really would prefer to actually cut all of those off and actually put my own polycap on, or just file and sand them gently. Trying to open up some of the polycaps so that they plug in a bit smoothly. People are complaining about modern SD kit where the parts are flimsy and don't actually hold together. Well, in this case, this is a complete opposite, where the kits are so tight and so difficult to actually put together, you fear actually breaking it. The stickers are really useless. I think they're actually good quality stickers, but they're shiny and they're glossy, and you have to cut it yourself. I'm not going to do that. The gimmick of changing him from the evil to good form is a bit of a mood, because you have to take the kit apart And taking a kit apart means that you have to leave parts unglued and unseam filled. And I'm not going to do that. At minimum, I'm going to stick them together to make them more durable. Just because this case feels a bit flimsy because of that. And beside that, yeah, perhaps the hands are not as good as I want them to be, but then again, I think it's not too bad really. It's designed for the bigger weapon, so you can see this one is still a bit floppy, but press them into the fist, to the thumb, and everything is perfectly tight. As you can see, that's very tight. Yeah, it's only when he's holding the daggers or holding anything that's round that's when the problem arises. They design for one thing and they design two things. So, yeah, not my biggest gripe of it. But yeah, this is probably the only way you can actually get these two characters in kit form, really. Right now, the SD Gundam, especially Musha Gundam series, is more or less gone. They haven't made a new series since the SD Sangoku Den finished with the Brave Battle Warrior series, and at the moment they are stuck on going back to all of the older SD Gundams by doing the BB Legend, which is great because they're making God Maru, which is one of my favorite SD Gundam of all time. But yeah, it means that there's very little chance that this guy is going to show up ever again. For another chance to actually become a proper official SD kit. So this is really recommended to professional modeler, really, or people at least with some skill in terms of filling up seam lines, just not beginners, at least amateur, to a level of skills required. But yeah, I would recommend it if you like the Crossbone series. So join me next time for another review.